Welcome to the Steve Stein Guitar Podcast, where we bring you the latest insights, tips, and techniques to help you master the art of guitar playing. I'm your host, Steve Stein, and I'm committed to sharing my passion for the guitar while inspiring you and guiding you through your musical journey. Now remember that you can enjoy this podcast from anywhere and anytime, whether you're cruising down the highway, preparing dinner in the kitchen, or even working out at the gym. By incorporating the podcast into your daily routine, you'll be able to stay inspired and motivated in your guitar journey, no matter where life takes you. Now, let's dive into today's podcast. I want to talk about a technique that I call clearing. You might have heard me talk about this, but for memorizing things, like I saw a number of people yesterday were talking about learning some songs, but they were having problems trying to memorize things, or problems with rhythm, different kinds of things like that. So I thought I would just take a few minutes today before I start my regular stuff and just go live and hang out with you for a little while. And because this is only on Facebook, hey, Bob, some of you, again, your information might not pop up. It'll just say Facebook user or something like that, and it's a limitation on Facebook. It's not a limitation through Restream or anything like that. It's a limitation that Facebook has enabled. So if you want to just always type your first name in real quick, then I can make a comment and respond directly to you. So anyway, let me talk to you a little bit about what I call clearing and just how practicing works for me. Now, when I'm practicing, and let's just talk about in the context of maybe songs, learning songs. Hey, Jason, because it might make more sense that way, but you can use this for anything. But let's say you're in a band and you're learning some songs, or you're just having some fun and you want to memorize a song, but you're having some problems with it. The one thing I try and get people to understand is the less that you have to, stare at your piece of paper while you're trying to play as you play a song, the more you can actually connect to the song itself. And part of it, hey George, is trying to make that process as simple as possible. Now, again, the songs that you choose are going to dictate whether or not it's a lot of work for you or not. Hey, Chris. So I want you to think about the fact that when you're learning songs, the first thing I'll say to you, hey, Jeff, is that when you're learning songs, put songs in categories. And the two categories, and again, you may have heard me talk about this before. Hey, Chester. But there's two different categories for me. There's what I refer to as ego songs, and then there's what I refer to as project songs. Hey, Christopher. So an ego song is a song that you can learn how to play. Maybe you don't learn all the parts perfectly. Maybe you don't learn the solo. Maybe you don't learn all the licks or the riffs or whatever. But you learn how to play with the song in some capacity from point A to point B, beginning to end. Hey, David. And when you do that, you tap yourself on the back, and that's an ego song. It's a song that you can feel good about because you're playing something that has a beginning, a middle, and an ending, and you're getting all the way through. And again, it doesn't mean that you've got all the parts memorized, okay? Hey, Ed. Hey, Mike. It doesn't mean that you've got everything memorized, but you're able to play along. So let's think of some song that has like a bunch of different parts to it. Wonderful Tonight by Eric Clapton, right? It's got a solo, it's got all these different things going on, different picking, but you're just strumming to the song and getting all the way through it, okay? That's step one. Step two is maybe then you decide you want to learn some of the picking stuff, or you want to learn part of the, the solo or something, and that's fine. Hey, Sergi, whatever you want. The point is that because we are guitar players and we're humans, we tend to always try and take everything to the nth degree and try and make everything that we do as hard as humanly possible, because that's the only way we can find validation in what it is that we're doing. Okay, everything's got to be perfect and it's got to be the best and whatever. And again, I'm not saying that can't be a good mentality at times, but in the ego song category, when you're learning ego songs, the point is to build yourself a playlist of songs where you can just grab your guitar, press play, and start playing along with things that have a cycle all the way through that you can play along with. So if you're with somebody and they want to hear you play, you can play along with something all the way through. Now, the beauty of that is that when you're playing along, you're making all kinds of musical connections to the music. Chord connections, rhythm connections, groove connections, tempo connections, dynamic connections. All of these things are happening while you're exploring this, right? So it's not just, well, it's an easy song because it only has 3 chords. Those are terms that we always use. Thank you, Justin. Glad you're here. Those are terms we always use, and easy and hard is a relative term to you, not to everybody else on the planet, because everybody's in a different place, right, in terms of their playing. So what I want you to understand is that think of songs, when you learn a song, think of a song as more than just a scale or a chord change or something. It's really trying to learn how to connect musically to the event that's happening with your input, the way you strum, the way you pick, the dynamics that you're using, the chords that you're choosing, the chord changes, all these different kinds of things. There's a lot going on, even though we use the term, well, it's only got 3 chords, so it's easy. There's still a lot going on in there, okay? So if we think about it from that perspective, we can always figure out what we need to improve on. So when we're learning, hey, Amos, when we're learning how to play a song, we're thinking about the chords, right? We're thinking about the sections of the song. Like, so now let's take it to the next level. We're going to move into this clearing idea I was talking about. Thank you so much. Again, if you are on Facebook, especially if you're in the VIP, the community, or the masterclass groups, you might want to put your first name in because those are private groups. I'm going live to the GuitarZoom Facebook page too, but just GuitarZoom. I'm not going on YouTube, not going to the Steve channels, nothing like that, just GuitarZoom, just so we can hang out for a little while. Hey, Steve. Hey, Dean. But if you're in one of those private groups, you might have to put your first name because it just comes up as Facebook user for me. It's, again, a limitation that Facebook has to protect your privacy. That's what it is. So anyway, let me keep going here. So when I want to learn a song, okay, and again, let's take out the easy, hard, all that kind of stuff. Oh, before we go into that, let me finish this idea. So an ego song you can pat yourself on the back, you're feeling good, you may not know all the parts, but you're able to play along and make a connection. A project song, on the other hand, is a song of elevation. A project song is a song that's going to take you a lot more time, and you may never develop all the elements of that song in its entirety. Okay, right? It might be take a crazy Dream Theater song or something like that. You might never develop every element of that song in its entirety, and it's not that you have to. It's that you're using it as a project. You're developing a particular technique or a lick or an idea or a rhythm or whatever it might be. That's what you're using the song for, is for a project. Now, there are times in your life where what used to be a project song might become an ego song to a certain degree, right? I mean, if you just started playing guitar, a week ago, you're not going to learn a Dream Theater song, right? But if you just started playing guitar a week ago, just about any song is a project song. But once you've been playing for 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever it might be, a lot of those songs would be considered ego songs. You see, so you just have to kind of figure that out. Jeff says Holy Wars for him, which is absolutely true. That's Holy Wars for just about anybody. I don't know anybody that would say Holy Wars is an ego song. It would be a project song. It's just how much development does it need to get to the place where Jeff feels good about it, right? That's the whole point. So now let me get back to a little bit easier song. We're going to come back to ego songs here, okay? And let me explain to you what I do. So when I'm going to learn songs like this August, my daughter, my oldest daughter and I have a show coming up. So she sings, I play acoustic, and we play 2 hours worth of material. Now, not that any of those songs are overly difficult for me to play on an acoustic guitar, because I'm really just strumming and supporting her singing. But I do have to memorize all the songs, right? And a lot of those songs are piano songs, where we'll do a lot of Elton John stuff or Billy Joel stuff or things like that, and I'm doing them on guitar. So I have to go into the song thinking, well, how do I want to strum this? How do I want the groove to be? How do I want the tempo to be, right? If I'm doing Killing Me Softly, that's a song we'll do, is Killing Me Softly. I got to decide how I want that groove to be. I might not do it the same way Roberta Flack does it. I might do it with a bit more of a groove. So to give it a little bit of a groove when I'm playing. These are things that I think about before I go into trying to figure out the song. So that's one thing. Now, the next thing is when I start actually learning the song, I pull up the song, right, in Spotify or YouTube or whatever it is I'm doing, and I just listen to the song. I don't play along. I'm not looking at chord charts. I'm just trying to absorb the song on a musical level, on an entertaining, spiritual, if you will, level. I'm just trying to listen to the song, just like I would a song that I love, that I've heard 1,000 times. I'm just trying to pull it in. Okay. And as I'm listening to it, I'm getting used to, there's an intro. Okay. Then it goes into the chorus. I'm thinking about Killing Me Softly. And then it goes into a verse. And then it goes into a chorus. And as I'm listening to the song, I'm getting used to the flow of this song. Now, I'm not thinking chords. I'm not thinking strumming. I'm just listening to the song. Right? And I'm getting used to, I always call this bird's eye view. I'm just getting used to listening to this song and getting to know the tune. So if I listen to it again, I know what's coming up next. And then I know what's coming up after that. And not because I've written it all out, but because I've listened to this song a bunch of times and I'm getting used to this. Okay? I'm getting used to the song. Now, after I've done that a number of times, what I might start doing is injecting some chord knowledge. So I might get the chord chart or whatever and start looking at it, or watch a video or whatever it is you want to do. And again, I'm not overly dissecting at this point. I'm not project songing it. I'm just trying to make a connection. So the chords are being played and I'm going, okay, so it's a C sharp minor going to an F sharp, and then it's a B going to whatever. And I'm kind of getting used to that. And what's really happening is in my head, I'm visualizing these chords. As I'm hearing this song now, all of a sudden there's pictures of chords that are happening in my mind. Now, for you, you might have to decide where that picture lies. If it's a D chord, what does that mean to you? Like, are you playing it as an open chord or a bar chord or something? And that's all up to you. I've never been that kind of player that, if you and I jam together and I play D up here and you play D down there, I might not go, hey, so-and-so taught it up here. I don't care. If you play D and I play D, we can both be happy and have fun, right? So I'm not really that concerned with it unless it's an essential voicing that is crucial to the song. Okay, that's different. But for the most part, right now, I'm not even worried about that. I'm just trying to make a connection to strumming my pain with his, and I'm hearing this and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm going from this chord to this chord, kind of making that connection. And in the back of my mind, I know verse is going into a chorus, is going into whatever, right? Because I've been listening to the song, so I'm figuring this out. And now I'm putting, names to faces. I'm putting chords to what I'm hearing. So I still haven't even picked up a guitar yet. I'm just playing, I'm just listening. But as I'm looking at this chord chart or whatever it is I've got, I'm also identifying where my problem is. Like, do I not know that chord, or right? Or how am I going to approach that chord? If it says C minor 7, am I playing a C minor 7 or am I just going to play C minor, right? These are the choices that I have to make. It doesn't matter. Like, again, I want to make music. I'm not trying to be a copycat, right? I mean, maybe I'll play it the same, but maybe I won't. And again, a lot of times if I'm playing something that was based off a piano to begin with, my voicing is going to be different anyway because I'm playing it on a guitar and I have very different parameters than a piano player would, right? So I'm just trying to get this together. And again, I don't want to take all your time, but just so you kind of understand. So as this is going here, now I'm listening and I've got some chords. Well, the other thing I would be doing at some point too is I'm listening to the song and I'm deciding, how am I strumming, right? So I'm listening to, Killing Me Softly in my head, and I hear this going. That's what I hear that I want to be kind of the groove. Now, again, if I find that I cannot strum what I'm hearing, I have to do one of two things. Either I have to change the strum or I have to stop this whole thing and develop what I'm trying to do. Okay? So if that kind of makes sense. So I start putting all these pieces together. Now, at some point, I start playing along with the song and start developing everything. Okay? Again, this is all happening without doing this. I'm not looking at a piece of paper trying to do this, because I'm not saying that that's bad in some circumstances. But it's hard to make a connection to the music when you're doing that, because the reason you're doing that is because there's no connection. You're needing that chart. Now, if the chart is there for a backup to help you with whatever, it's fine, right? But what I'm saying is, even in those situations, the more you can get to know that song, the more you can get to be a part of that song in here, the more connection you're going to make and the better it's going to sound. And the more creative you can get, because you've got more freedom. Like, all your brain power isn't spent trying to figure out how you're going to strum while you're sitting on stage or performing with somebody, or I don't know that chord. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Well, this is all stuff we should have planned out beforehand. We should have figured this out, right? As we were practicing these things. Okay? So, as I'm going, as I'm doing these things, now what happens is, as I'm listening to the song, I do a technique that I call clearing, and I've always taught this to students. What clearing is once you've got your plan together and you've got your song, go drive around sometime or just listen to the song without your guitar or whatever. And clearing to me is that it's like looking out a dirty window. When you're looking out a dirty window, or you're looking out a window when it's raining really hard and everything's blurry, you can't see out there. Okay, versus a very clean window and it's a sunny day and you're looking outside and you see the birds and the trees and everything else. That's clearing to me. When you listen to a song, if a song is blurry at all, as the song progresses through, now please understand, as I start playing Killing Me Softly, I don't see the entire song laid out in front of me, like a little chart, right? Oh, at 3 minutes I do this, and at I don't see that. I see it like driving a car. As I drive from where I live to where I'm going, I know when to stop and when to turn left and when to turn right, and my eyes are open, so if there is all of a sudden a stop sign that I didn't know was there, I know to stop. Okay, I'm driving, okay? But I'm driving with clear eyes. I'm driving and I can see where I'm going. Well, that's what clearing is. So as you're listening to the song, you know what's coming up next all the time. In the song, in the chords, in the strumming, in whatever it is that you're trying to do, you're clearing it as you go. If at any point as you're listening to this song, you're apprehensive of what's coming next, that's blurry, okay? If there's any time where something could go wrong, that's when it's going to go wrong, right? So Jimmy says lyrics. Okay, I've never been one to care about lyrics, but let's say Jimmy is singing and playing at the same time, right? Which is another level, being able to play chords and strum and sing at the same time, right? So Jimmy tries to do this, but it doesn't really work out. So Jimmy goes back and goes, okay, what is it that I need to work on to clear this? You see? So as you're driving and listening to this song, okay, as you're listening to it, you're able to visualize and see what's coming up next. Now, when I do this, okay, for instance, last weekend I had to go out to Minneapolis, which is about 4 hours away, for 2 different band rehearsals. I play in 2 different bands out of Minneapolis. So I brought my daughter with, because we went and hung out, had a daddy-daughter weekend and ate a bunch of terrible food and whatever. So as we're driving up there are certain points where I'm listening to the music that I'm doing exactly what I'm talking to you about. As I'm driving, there are songs that I need to study in my head. Now I know them, I've practiced them a bunch of times, but it still makes me feel good to clear them. So I'm driving, I'm listening, and she's listening to whatever she's listening to. And then all of a sudden she'll start talking to me. And so I'm talking to her. And then I go, oh crap, I wasn't listening to that. I wasn't clearing it, right? I could hear it in the background, but I wasn't listening. So I rewind the song and do it again, right? Or sometimes I might hear a song and I start singing along. And now all of a sudden I'm not in my clearing head, right? I'm listening to the song from an entertainment standpoint, and I'm listening to the lyrics, but I'm not seeing me playing along with that song. I'm not seeing that happen. So I stop myself and go, whoops, I got to go back and I got to listen and see myself, see my fingers, see what's happening, see myself doing this. And again, are there any points that get blurry for me? Well, not at this point. Not if I'm driving to rehearsal. There are no points that are going to be blurry. Everything is going to be cleared by that point, because I would not show up to rehearsals not prepared. That isn't what I do, okay? Certainly driving for 4 hours and wasting anybody's time, including mine or theirs, right? So if that makes sense, that's what we do. And so sometimes in those songs, you get what I refer to as red flags. A red flag is when you get to something that's blurry, but it's blacked out, like, or you didn't see it coming, right? Maybe it's cleared, but you didn't see it coming. So all of a sudden it just jumps up on you. Or you can feel a part coming and you know it's coming, but you don't know that part well enough. So even though it's cleared and you know it's coming, but you don't know really how it actually goes. Okay. Well, those are things that you got to make points on. Those are red flags that you got to make points on. Go, that's what I need to work on more, because I need to get to the point where that's completely cleared and I don't have any, anxiety or any issues with that part. So, Snots Willard says, do I hear a tune in a certain key? No, but I can hear chords. Again, we're talking about chords right now. So I can tell if something's in major or minor. I can tell 1, 6, 4, 5, 1, 2, 5. When I listen to, I can start, like, my wife will laugh at me because I'll be sitting there. I'll go, okay, C sharp minor, A, E, B. That's what it is. Now, when I get home, because I don't have perfect pitch, it might not have been in C sharp minor. It might have been D minor, or it might have been C minor, right? But that motion of the chords would be right. Like I can dial those in. The guitar player might have been a half step down and I can't tell that. So when I get home and start figuring it out, I go, oh, it was just a half step off or something. But I can hear those kinds of things most certainly when I'm listening to songs. Now, again, if I'm trying to do some crazy prog metal tune, no, I mean, a lot of those things are going to need, like, if you think about it, a lot of those kinds of songs are like songs within songs. So you might have 6 songs, if you will, that are all one thing because they're all different parts that are completely independent of each other. Yes, they're connected on some thread, but the parts themselves need their own development, right? So when you learn songs that are more complex like that, you got to take them section by section and learn them, because just sitting there listening to a 9-minute prog metal song and then trying to absorb it is pretty much impossible. You break it down into little pieces and you develop each piece as you go. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So I just wanted to go live, talk to you a little bit, and let you know kind of how I think about those sorts of things and see if that's something that might help you a little bit sometime in your practice as well. So I got to get back to recording, but I just wanted to go live and say hey to everybody, and thank you very much for being part of the Guitar Zoom family. I and everybody else certainly appreciate you being here, and I just want you to stay positive and keep practicing and have a lot of fun with this, okay? So everybody take care, and I'll talk to you soon, okay? Bye. If you like our podcast and want to hear more, remember to press the subscribe button on the app that you listen to. By doing this, you help us a lot, and you'll be the first to know when we have new episodes ready for you to listen to. Is this podcast fun and useful? Then please give it a thumbs up and write about how much you like it. Is this podcast not what you thought it would be? Please let us know. This helps us to make our podcast better and helps more people who love guitar find it as well. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and tell us what you think.